Arjuna. Arjuna is ready to have the fight, a big fight, and he needs advice from Krishna. And here we are, like we are in the battlefield also, and we are hearing now, we are just leaning on the side of Krishna to hear what he's saying to Arjuna. So Krishna speaks about his devotees. Krishna said, "Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotee, under my protection, reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace." There is a small purport explanation from our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. The word Mad Vyapashraya means under the protection of the Supreme Lord. To be free from material contamination, a pure devotee acts under the direction of the Supreme Lord or his representative, the spiritual master. There is no time limitation for a pure devotee. He is always 24 hours a day, 100% engaged in activities under the direction of the Supreme Lord. To a devotee who is thus engaged in Krishna consciousness, the Lord is very, very kind. In spite of all difficulties, he is eventually placed in the transcendental abode or Krishna Loka. And the devotee, the Lord is very, very kind to his devotee, and because he is very kind, he is taking the devotee back to his eternal abode, Krishna Loka. He is guaranteed entrance there. There is no doubt about it. In that supreme abode, there is no change. Everything is eternal, imperishable, and full of knowledge. I read one more time the verse. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotee, under my protection, reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. We just recite one small prayer. Before speaking, one needs to be empowered. You might like to also pray so that you can hear and receive something. Something will be received today. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Miritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master, with the torchlight of knowledge, has opened my eyes. Therefore, I offer him my respectful obeisances. So we hear in this verse, the Lord is saying, there is no doubt. No doubt. For my devotees, they will be under my protection. I will always protect my devotees, and ultimately, I will take them back in my abode. This is one, and in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, the Lord is very, very kind, very, very kind to the devotees. And today it will be a lecture where we will try to enter into this awareness of how much the Lord is kind in our life and the life of devotees and life of everyone else. We will see what is the extent of Krishna's kindness, how big it is, if we can at all measure, that's another point. We will see to whom he is kind. Is he more kind to someone, less kind to someone else? And we will see how to become more conscious of this fact in our daily life. My spiritual master was giving quite some lectures on this topic of kindness of the Lord, and he explained that when children are raised with love, when children are loved by their parents, they actually become very strong individuals. They become very balanced and strong individuals. And also in our life, in the life of spiritual people, those who are aware that the Lord loves them and can feel the love of the Lord in their life, they become very strong spiritually. Very strong spiritual individuals, because they have this awareness, this consciousness, this experience of how the Lord is kind in their life. So what is the extent of the Lord's kindness? Certainly my arms cannot measure it. It goes far, 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 far beyond to what I'm able to do here. So we will just touch on few points on the kindness of Krishna. And one of the points is that he make that any services that we do toward him are actually eternal. And that's a big kindness, a big kindness. There was a story of a man who had done a very impious life. But one time in his life, he had offered a flower to God. And then at the time of death, Yamaraj, the intendant of death, came and said, okay, I see you did really bad things in your life. Now you will have to spend a lot of time in lower planetary system. It will not be easy for you. But because you did one thing good, you were offering one flower to the Lord, you can go to the heaven for 5 minutes. For 5 minutes heaven and lifetimes of very, very difficult life. What do you want first? So the man said, okay, let me go to heaven first. So he went to heaven, and the 5 minutes that he had in heaven, he took flowers and he offered it to God and offered it to God. And 5 minutes he was just serving the Lord. And then Yamaraj came back and said, okay, here we have to recalculate. The balance is changing. So this is a very innocent story. That means that actually every time we do service to God, those times are actually eternal. They have actually amazing potency of transformation in our life. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said that in this part of devotion, in this part of service to me, the Lord, saying, there is no loss nor diminution. Nothing is ever lost. There is no diminution. Everything is just keep increasing again and again. And Srila Prabhupada explained that all material work that we do, if we don't complete them, if we don't bring the material work to a completion, they are not really successful. But spiritual activities, even if we don't bring them to perfection, they are actually forever. They are actually it's already a success, even if we don't complete them. And in one purport, Srila Prabhupada said that devotional service, the service that we offer to God, is so important that even if performed with very small, almost negligible extent, it has actually a supreme result. So this is very big kindness that the Lord makes, that any service that we can do to Him, they are forever, and even the smallest one bring highest result. So we are all, believe it or not, we are all right now doing service. I'm doing service of speaking, and you are doing a service of hearing. And just by doing that, it's far beyond our understanding, but we are making an activity that is eternal, that will be always in our credit, that will never be lost, never be diminished. So this is very, very big mercy that the Lord is giving to all of us. Whatever spiritual activity you do will always remain there. Some of you, I see, are from Indian background, and you might know the story of Bali Maharaj, who was a big king. Bali Maharaj had a sister, Ratnamala, And Ratnamala, when she saw Vamanadev, who was no one else than the Supreme Lord, coming, she felt, wow, this boy is so cute, he's so beautiful. I would like to serve him by offering him the milk from my breast. But then when she saw that Vamanadev took the kingdom of her brother away, she became very angry. And she said, I will feed him milk from my breast, but I will also feed him poison. And later on, she came as Putana. And she came in the disguise and she tried to actually kill baby Krishna by putting poison on her breast and feeding Krishna the poison. And Krishna accepted it. He took the milk, but he took the life also, because milk is life. So if you took milk, it took the life as well. But most of all, after that, he gave Putana the result of being living in the spiritual world as a nurse in the spiritual world. That's a big story. We could spend the whole hour speaking about that story. But the point is that Ratnamala had just one small desire to please the Lord. And just that, when the Lord sees we have a small desire to please him, he will snatch it immediately. He will make it that it will happen in our life. So even a very small desire to please Krishna, this is already like a very, very big asset. And we can see by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada's movement, so many books are distributed. So many people get in touch with spiritual activities. And how many people actually can make new step and further step in their spiritual development. And that's forever gained. Another point that I want to make on the extent of the Lord's kindness, and that He's actually care for us. And He wants to bring back all the living entities in His eternal abode. He is very well aware that this material world is not the world for eternal happiness. This is the world of dualities, that's clear. But He doesn't want us to stay too long in the world of dualities. He would like us to go back to the eternal world. Therefore, He is sending sadhus, He's sending saintly persons, He's sending the scriptures, He's coming as the deity form so that we can see Him and serve Him in a more direct way. He's eating and giving us the remnants. He's giving us prasad. So many ways the Lord is acting in this world because He would like us to go back to the eternal abode. He doesn't want us to rot in this material world of dualities. And there is the example of Gajendra. Gajendra was an elephant. He had been in a previous life a great saint, but now he was in the body of an elephant. And he was in a very difficult situation in his life. And he had to call out for the Lord. And in one of his prayers, he said, since I am an animal, I am an elephant. Since an animal like me has surrendered unto you, I'm an animal, but still I surrender to you, my Lord. Since I surrender to you, certainly you will release me from this dangerous position. Indeed, being extremely merciful, you incessantly try to deliver me. And Prabhupada writes, it's very, very beautiful how Prabhupada writes. Prabhupada said, even before we offer prayers to the Lord is already thinking of how He will deliver us. Even before we pray to the Lord, that's already in the mind of the Lord, how I will deliver all those living entities from the sufferings of this world. Krishna is in our heart and is not at all inattentive. We are very inattentive very often, but the Lord is there, is in our heart, is not even inattentive. And Prabhupada writes, the Lord is never lazy in delivering the conditioned souls, in regard to our deliverance. And then Prabhupada ends by saying, even though we will not accept his instruction, even though many of us say, nah, I will not follow his instruction, still the Lord never become angry. And still the Lord keep trying to deliver the living entities. And the last aspect regarding the extent of Krishna's mercy, Atmananda, I'm so happy to see you. So beautiful that you are here. Hare Krishna. It's a great gift for me to see you today. So the last, I thought I will not say I'm in the lecture, but it's just too big. The last extent of the Lord's mercy is that He is actually all the time with us. He is in the heart of all living entities. And believe it or not, even in the heart of people who are bad people, criminals and people who are really doing bad things, the Lord is always in their heart and never leaves them. So this is very much an extent of the Lord's mercy. The Lord is closer to me than even this tablet. He is even closer to me than this microphone, which is quite close, because He is in the heart and He is all the time with us. There was one time when there was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. His name was Trivikrama Swami, and he was in Hong Kong. He was trying to spread Krishna consciousness in Hong Kong, and he was alone there. And Prabhupada said, I will come and visit you, but after some times Prabhupada could not come, and Prabhupada sent a disciple of him, Bhavananda Prabhu. And Bhavananda Prabhu went to see Trivikrama Swami in Hong Kong, and then Bhavananda wrote to Prabhupada. He said, Trivikrama Swami is alone. You have to send people as soon as possible to help him. And when Prabhupada read the telegram coming, Trivikrama Swami is alone. He said, what is this alone? What is this alone? I have actually the quote of what he exactly said. A Vaishnava is never alone. You should know you are never alone. And then Prabhupada said, when I came first in the United States, I was never alone. All the time, my spiritual master was with me. All the time, the Lord was with me. So this is a point we can keep in our heart, that the Lord, how the Lord is kind, that no matter if we behave right or wrong, if we are good people or bad people, the Lord is always there, always waiting. He's like the observer. He's watching us and always waiting for the small moment where we might be inclined to turn back toward Him. And He will be happy to help us move in the direction. My spiritual master was saying in one letter. Actually, I think I will read it. It's two paragraphs and that are very, very beautiful. My spiritual master was giving a retreat here in February, and on the last day he was giving a summary of the retreat. And here is what he was saying. During my presentation, I emphasized a fine tuning of our attitude toward Krishna. Try to see Krishna as a close friend, not a distant God. As Krishna himself confirms, I, Krishna, I am the only friend who can actually do good to all beings. Krishna is always present in the background, whether we acknowledge it or not. We can depend on Him like children rely on their loving parents, who always keep a watchful eye over them. As the years go by, I notice many change around me and many change even in our own institution. However, only when I reflect, and here I reflect, only when I reflect on Krishna's mercy toward the fallen, do I become increasingly hopeful and enthusiastic. So we move to the second part of today's lecture. To whom Is Krishna merciful? Is he merciful only to his devotee? No, he's actually merciful toward everyone. And there is a quote from Srimad Bhagavatam 8.5.58 where it is said that the Supreme Lord, being the Supreme Father, is naturally very dear and always ready to act for the good of all living entities. It means not only the devotees, but all living entities. And we can see by being present in the heart of everyone, even if one is not a devotee, the Lord is. So this is proof that he is merciful toward all living entities. But to the devotees, he will be extremely merciful. It will be very, very, very kind. And this, I hope, gives us an impetus to actually think, maybe I should be a devotee. Maybe I should become a devotee. And in the purport we were reading today, Prabhupada was mentioning that to a devotee who is engaged in Krishna consciousness, the Lord is very, very kind. In spite of all difficulties, he eventually placed in the he bring them to the transcendental abode. There are many examples in the scriptures of how Krishna was kind to his devotee. Toward Bhishma, when Bhishma was ready to leave his body, the Lord came in front of Bhishma. To Draupadi, who was being disrobed in a big assembly, the Lord came and protected her. To all the inhabitants of Vrindavan by bringing more and more love into their hearts. So many examples. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna makes many promises to his devotee. He says, I will provide what they lack and I will protect. No, I will provide what they lack and protect what they have. My devotees, whatever they have, I will protect. Whatever they don't have, I will provide. He said, I will take away all the karma of my devotees. Do not fear, do not fear. He said to my devotee, I will give them the understanding how they can come to me. There are so many promises the Lord gave in the Bhagavad Gita that he will do for his devotees. And those promises are not to be taken lightly. Those are serious promises that the Lord is doing. Queen Kuti said, she prays to the Lord, she said, my dear Lord, one day the sun might be cold, and one day the moon might be hot, but your promise will never go in vain. And to his pure devotees, to those who are devotees of high level, the Lord gives himself fully. Fully is giving himself. I'm just studying in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is the story of Dhruva Maharaj, who was another, the son of a king, who actually got heavily insulted by his stepmother. And he went to his own mother and he asked for help. Please help me. I'm so much hurted in my heart. And here listen what the mother of Dhruva Maharaj, Suniti, told Dhruva. She said, you came to me crying, having been insulted by your stepmother, but I am unable to do any good for you. But Krishna is so kind to his devotees that if you go to him, then the combined kindness of millions of mothers like me will surpass by his affectionate and tender dealings. She said, I cannot really help me, but if you go to the Lord has the kindness of thousands of mothers at once. So he will be able to help you. When everyone else fails to mitigate one's misery, Krishna is able to help the devotees. So we come to the last part of today's lecture. How can we become more aware of the Lord's kindness in our life? And here maybe we have it a little bit interactive, for a little while. Who have any tip how we can become more aware of the Lord's mercy in our life? Yes, Atmananda.
Being thankful and seeing the glass more full as empty.
Okay, being grateful, seeing the good. Well, yes, very good.
To speak with Krishna.
To speak with Krishna, to speak to the Lord. Very nice, and very personal. When you speak to the Lord seems to look at you and say, "What? You believe I exist? Wow. Very, very nice. Very nice. Thank you, Mataji." How else can we be more aware of the kindness of the Lord in our life? What can we do to be aware? Yes? Okay. Praying more. Okay.
Reminding ourselves of the promises Krishna is giving.
Okay, very nice, very nice. That's more or less what I was looking for, to remind ourselves. One devotee was saying, we read the scriptures to remind ourselves of what we already know. There are things we know, but we forget. So actually, when we read into the scripture, we are all the time reminded of how the Lord is kind. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. So more or less be introspective also in our life, to see all those times the Lord is kind to us and not just taking everything for granted, to be reflective, thoughtful. This will help us actually to grasp and to feel the mercy of the Lord in our life. There was in South India a Brahmana who was illiterate, who could not read Bhagavad Gita. But his guru asked him to read Bhagavad Gita, so he would just hold the Bhagavad Gita in front of him and was trying to say something, but he could not read. And people will make fun of him. Look at this Brahmana, he's trying, but he don't know. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in South India and he saw this Brahmana, he saw that this Brahmana was crying. Was he crying because people were making fun of him? We could think like this, but no. Mahaprabhu came and asked, "Why are you crying?" And he said, when I just know and remember that the Lord took the position of a servant to Arjuna and the Lord himself was driving the chariot of Arjuna, I have to cry. My heart is melting. Now when we hear that Krishna became the chariot driver of Arjuna, are we crying? Not really. But if we will spend hours and hours and hours reflecting on that, we might actually cry. So this is the point I wanted to bring, that we have to actually chew on it. We have actually to think of it. We have to be aware in our life of all this mercy of the Lord. And I hope this lecture, the aim of this lecture is that we really chew on it from all direction and that it makes an impact into our heart. My spiritual master was following sometimes a macrobiotic diet where you eat a lot of brown rice. And they say you have to chew a lot. You should not just follow. So they had something like you have to count your bites, 25 bites, and then you swallow. And we were doing that because my Gomaj was doing that. I was also eating what he was eating. And it's amazing when you chew on the rice, you get sweetness. It gets sweet as you chew and chew and chew. It gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. So this is a nice analogy how much we should actually chew on this topic of Krishna's kindness so that it becomes more and more sweet and more present in our heart and in our life. I like to end today's lecture by telling you a story. And that's a story many of you might know, but you need to be reminded of, and that we need to chew on. There was a very, very good friend of Krishna. He was a Brahmana from the Brahmana caste. He was totally self-controlled and totally peaceful in his mind. But like many Brahmana, he was very, very poor. And his wife was called Shushila. Shushila was feeling bad because she could not serve her husband. There was nothing to cook in the house. And she knew that's my duty as a wife. I should cook for my husband. So she went to her husband and she had a request. And she was a little shaky because she wanted him to become a beggar for the foodstuff that were needed in the house. But she knew my husband is only begging for pure devotion. He's not begging for anything else. So if she was a little shaky, will accept or not? Finally, she took her courage and she said, my dear husband, you remember your friend Krishna? You were at the Gurukul with him. You were at school with him when you were very young. He's not living far away from here. And he has so much money. And in plus, he loves the Brahmana. He loves the Brahmana so much. Why don't you go to him and ask him for little something, little subsistence? Brahmana thought for a while. In his mind, it was sure, I will never ask anything to my friend Krishna. But he thought, why not go actually and pay him a visit? That's actually a wonderful idea. So he said to his wife, okay, TK, I will go. His wife went, oh, wow, he accepted, wonderful. But before going, Sudam understood, if I go and meet my old friend Krishna, I need to bring him a present. I need to bring him something. But like mentioned before, the house was empty. So Sudam and his wife, they had to go and beg to the neighbor's house for a little rice. But even rice they did not have. That was a very poor neighboring place. So even rice they did not. So they gave very, very old flat rice with little smell. So Sudam took this, he made a little punch in his dhoti that he kept with him, and for 3 days Sudam was walking toward Dwarka. He had to take a boat to cross the ocean, and then he arrived to the island of Dwarka where his friend Krishna was living. There it was everything very, very opulent, and like by miracle, Sudam could enter into the palace of Krishna, passing the guards, different doors. No one asked him anything. He could just come in without any problem. It was very mystical. And as Sudam was inside of the palace, he felt like the bliss of Ananda. Sometimes he could not walk. He was stuck. He was just feeling the energy, beautiful, loving energy that was in the palace. And then suddenly Lord Krishna saw his old friend Sudam in the hallway, and Krishna came and embraced Sudam. We have to know Sudam his clothes were very, very finished. Very, very, he was so thin that you could see his veins. Everyone who looked at him in the palace said, oh my God, who is this one? But Krishna came and just took him in his arm, and Krishna had tears of love coming down his cheeks. Sudam, you have come and visited me. Then he took Sudam and he set Sudam on his own bed. He took Sudam into the inner core of his kingdom, in his own sleeping room, and he set Sudam, and he gave Sudam a gift of a cow. And then he worshipped Sudam with incense, with lamps. He washed the feet of Sudam, and the goddess of fortune, Rukmini, was there. And she said, my God, what is happening? My Lord is serving this poor Brahmana. So she immediately took the chamara and she was helping, worshipping the Sudam Vipra. And everyone, all the servants of the kingdom, they were all there and they were looking, wow, what is happening? What is happening? Krishna took some sandalwood paste, was placing very, very carefully, very beautifully on the forehead of Sudam. And then he took the hand of Sudam and said, do you remember? We were at the school of our teacher together. Do you remember when we were taking the wood for the yagyas and it was raining and we were protecting the wood and we stayed the whole night out in the rain? Do you remember? Yes. Do you remember the boon our Guru Maharaj gave us? Oh yes. He gave us the boon that all the knowledge we receive will always be living in our heart. Do you remember? Yes. So after a very, very beautiful exchange, Sudam felt, okay, now I think I'm full. I got so much love by Krishna. Cannot get more. I think time has come for me to go back. And before he will say goodbye, Krishna look at him and say, Sudam, did you bring anything for me? In the midst of this opulence, Sudam felt, I cannot give this rice to Krishna. This rice is just too old and too... But Krishna knew and said, what do you have there in the corner of your dhoti? Can I have? And and he gave this flat rice to Krishna, and Krishna started to eat the flat rice and eat and continue to eat. And Rukmini, she felt, my God, this is unfit for my Lord. That will pain his stomach to eat such a thing. So I have to stop him. So Rukmini said, my Lord, don't eat everything, not everything for you. Please keep for us also, and all your servants, after you please distribute to everyone. Stop eating now this rice. So Krishna stopped and they bade farewell. I think we say like this in English. They say goodbye. And then Sudam Vipra went back to his house. He had 3 days to walk until he would reach his house. And when he arrived there, before he arrived there, actually, one morning his wife Shushila woke up and she was in a different house. And she saw herself in the mirror. She was young and beautiful. And there was luxury everywhere in the house. First, she was totally bewildered. What is happening here? But then she understood, actually, that must be Krishna's gift to my husband. My husband now must be on his way back. And when Sudam Vipra came back, he just could not find his house. Where is my house? My house must be here, but it's not there anymore. And then he saw beautiful heavenly people running down the road, singing songs. You must be Sudam, welcome home. What is that? And I say, don't worry, you will soon know what is happening. Look, here is your wife coming. Sudam could not, my wife, Shushila? What happened to you, Shushila? And then it is said that at that time, Sudam's body also became transformed, and his clothes became transformed, and everything became transformed. And there are many beautiful details there. One question that some saintly person asked, why did Krishna not directly transform Sudam when he was still in Dwarka into a young boy? And the answer is that if he would have done so, then Shushila and Sudam would not have been able to recognize each other. So therefore he kept Sudam in this appearance so that they could recognize. But another very, very beautiful, and that's the last for today's lecture, the Acharya asked, why did Krishna not give all the wealth to Sudam also when he was there in Dwarka? And he waited in Dwarka. Why he waited? Why he gave indirectly all the wealth to his friend Krishna? And there it's a very beautiful explanation. This comes from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Vishwanath Thakur explains that Krishna felt the gift of Sudam, of rice, of flat rice to me, it's much greater than any gift I can give to him. Because he has nothing. He had nothing. He even had to go and beg for this rice. So therefore, this rice has more value than any wealth that I can give him. So the Lord felt ashamed to give him something of less value. So he decided to reward him indirectly when Sudam will be home. Very, very beautiful. So that was a story of how the Lord liked his devotee. And a quick summary. We heard of the extent of Krishna's kindness. Any devotional service we do lasts forever. The Lord wants all the living entities to go back to his abode, and is always with us. To whom he is kind to all living entities, being present in their heart and trying to help them to move forward. But he is especially kind to the devotees and those who are trying to come closer to him. And how to become more conscious of this fact? Be introspective, reflect, meditate, and read the scriptures. Thank you for your attention. I did not thought, can we take maybe one or two questions? Or yeah? If you have any questions. And if you don't, I will have a question for you. Yes.
First of all, thank you, Prabhu, for reminding us of our Lord's kindness. In the beginning, you said that if somebody loves us very much, if Krishna loves us so much, we become spiritually very strong. Could you elaborate how that empowers us, how that strengthens us?
Just remember, I think the Beatles were singing, "All we need is love." Huh? That's the. I think Yagya said that the two most important need of the living entities is to love and to be loved. So this is when we have what we need, we can go strong, we can grow strong. But when we don't have what we need, then it's more difficult. I guess we could have psychological approach also on that. That's what I can say. Any other questions? I think there is like one very obvious question, like that could be highly challenging my lecture. Maybe you are all so gentle, no one is thinking to drop the bomb. Yes.
Challenging question would be if Krishna is so kind, why is there so
much? Yes. Thank you. Huh? We hear the whole lecture how the Lord is kind. Look at how many wars are there. Look how many injustices are there in this world. How dare you to say that the Lord is kind? Thank you, Kamalasita. And thank you for all of you who did not want to embarrass me by bringing such a type of question.
No, I embarrassed you.
No, I was prepared. For the question. I heard actually a very nice explanation from Keshava Maharaj, very, very bright and empowered soul. The question that came to him was slightly different. The question was how to deal with unfulfilled expectations. You have expectations and they are not fulfilled. How do you deal with that? And Maharaj gave a very powerful answer. He said, to understand the world, you have to understand the functioning of the world and the reason of the world. Why is this world there? And then he dropped the bomb, another bomb, the other side. the bomb is the purpose of this world is to take us out of this world and to bring us actually to the place where we belong, to the eternal kingdom. Therefore, all the pains and difficulties that we have in this world are to help us understand this is not the place where we are supposed to be. This is not the place where we're supposed to stay. Okay, we are here, but our aim is actually to get out of the world. And the world is there to help us understand that this is not the real place for us to be. Thank you, Kamala Sita. Good. So nice.
Hallo.
Yes?
Was macht man mit Leuten, die einem Gewalt androhen, dass sie jemand auf die schlagen wollen? Wie geht man damit um?
What will you do with people who want to be violent against you? How to care, how to deal with them?
You need to know how to run fast. I mean, sometimes you might have a person in the job that is all the time on your case, sometimes family members and like this. It's not always easy to run away. There is sometimes we have to tolerate it. But ultimately we have the choice to decide with whom we want to be. And people who are violent and very harmful or negative, if we cannot help them to change, then it's better to keep some distance. Thank you. Do you want the microphone? Thank you everyone for kindly listening and hope something sticks. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.